Slipping Through the Cracks, Part 1.
Ugh, is the ceiling leaking again? I could really do without that right now.
Strings picked up an old, dented saucepan from the side, placed it beneath the drip in the ceiling, and gazed around the decrepit building she called home. While she had taken a slightly less ruined house as her place of residence, that was saying very little. Leaks and mould were common throughout the structure, and stolen blankets covered broken windows in an attempt to maintain some level of warmth in the building. She dared not light a fire for fear of someone noticing the smoking chimney, provided the ruined fireplace could even sustain a fire.
Sure, the abandoned district is a safe place for me to stay. As long as I don't freeze when winter comes or become food for a giant spider. And don't even get me started on the state of the sewage around here.
Strings sighed as she looked around the room. Having grown up a homeless orphan in Aslux, she was used to living in poor conditions. She had spent many nights sleeping rough when other options weren't available, though this didn't stop her yearning for a real home.
Though, if I'm not careful, then my real home will become a prison cell. Those blasted dwarves nearly had me the other night, and that goody two-shoes Delmore did. I'm only free because he let me go, and then there was the weird stone hand with the pirates. I'm lucky Looping seems to be soft-hearted, or else I'd be sleeping with the fish.
Strings absent-mindedly donned her thief gear as she continued to think. It was obvious that the common factor in her near misses was magic. Guards and other folk she could sneak by and outrun with ease, and had done so for many years before even stepping foot into Karnag, but none of them had magic. It was clearly a game-changer, and something she should have been more wary of. If she had realised that one of the dwarves even had the power to demolish a wall in a single stroke, then she never would have made herself known to them.
No sense in worrying about it right now, though. One thing at a time. I need to meet Oaken to pass on this jewellery, though he doesn't seem as trustworthy as Umero was. Another person to be wary of.
Strings gave another sigh before shaking her head, clearing her mind of unhelpful thoughts. She slipped on her mask and grabbed the bag of stolen jewellery. Taking a deep breath, she opened the front door and vanished into the dark of the night.
I heard you had a close call the other night. The infamous Captain Rigger, eh?
Me? Close call? Now where did you hear a thing like that?
Let's just say we have a mutual acquaintance.
So that halfling who you fence the stolen goods to, she could have killed me. How about you warn her not to kill off her suppliers? I don't want to go out by becoming fish food.
Oh, don't worry. I'll make sure she doesn't get the chance to do it again. You can be sure of that.
Oh, why am I not convinced by that?
Strings stood warily as she watched Oaken examine her latest set of stolen jewellery. After her last contact, Umero, had been killed by Looping, she'd had to find a new contact to be able to arrange transport for her loot. However, this new contact was far more shady than Umero, even as thieves and smugglers go. Umero was all about business and saw the value in maintaining a trust between each other. Strings wasn't so sure Oaken saw things the same way.
A fine collection, and I'm sure the Ravendane family won't miss these fine necklaces at all. Valerie Ravendane seems to have a new one every other day anyway. Her wife spoils her rotten.
Are you happy with this delivery then? I'll be sure to pay the Ravendales another visit. In the meantime, though, I'd like to take my cut and be on my way.
Your meagre cut? You could have made a hell of a lot more if you didn't forward most of it elsewhere.
I'm aware. Now, can we finish up here, please? I've had some long nights and would really prefer a rest.
I'm afraid that's not going to happen.
What's that meant to... Hey, what the hell?
Two smugglers jumped out from hiding and grabbed Strings by the arms. Caught off guard and pinned against the crates behind her, Strings fought to pull away from the men, only to freeze as the larger of the two pressed a dagger to her throat.
You are an excellent thief. Arguably one of the best in Karnag, but there are plenty of other capable thieves that can bring in what we need. And you are worth a pretty penny.
You're turning me in for bounty? What good is a fencing contact that turns their thieves over to the guard?
One who's in it for the money. Have to be sure it's worth our while if we're removing one of our supplies of stolen goods, eh?
What about the other thieves? Are they really going to trust a smuggler who turns them over to the city guard?
Who says they're going to find out about this? Now tie her up, and make sure to do a proper job of it. She's a nimble one, so don't give her any slack.
The thugs holding Strings dragged her across the room before roughly pushing her into a chair. With the knife still pressed against her throat, she could only watch with a growing sense of helplessness as the men lashed her to the seat. It wasn't long before the thief was completely immobilized, her limbs bound tightly with even her tail tied to the chair leg.
Ugh, don't you think this is a little much? I can get you more than 1,000 gold coins as a thief. Surely this isn't worth the risk.
It'll be worth the risk, all right. You're worth more than 1,000 gold. Don't you know how high your bounty is?
I would have thought I'd be worth more as a thief than anything the city guard would offer. What am I worth now then? 1,200 gold? 1,500?
Do you think that 1,500 is enough to risk our smuggling reputation for? Don't play naive. I know you're smarter than that.
Oh, of course. Silly me for thinking you would turn on your best thief for such a small amount. Have they doubled it to 2,000 then? I must have caught their attention. Clearly I'm becoming popular.
Keep climbing.
3,000? Surely not that much for a thief.
And yet, you're still worth more.
5,000? 6,000? You're not talking about the bounty in Karnag?
Now you're getting it. Perhaps you've heard of a little place called Bilnagath, the capital of Aslux?
No.
Oh, yes. It would seem that not 4 months past, a great Abaxi thief decided to take on the biggest heist the country's black market had seen, stealing from the king himself. One of the most powerful and vindictive men in the Seven Isles. The thief failed to steal the crown, but was able to avoid the king's elite royal guard and escape, making both royal and guard alike look like fools. The thief disappeared not long after that, when the king decreed he'd give 30,000 gold pieces for the thief alive. He also offered half as much for the thief dead. Tempting offer, but why stop at 15,000 when twice as much is on the table? Oh, you won't be needing this fancy ring of yours.
As Alban spoke, he walked around the thief, clearly enjoying her distress. He stopped behind her, forcing Strings to twist and turn her head frantically to see him, but the ropes held her firmly against the chair. Her heart sank as Alban grabbed her bound paws and slipped her transforming ring from her finger. With her last chance of escape gone, Strings could only watch as Alban moved back into her vision, her fear clear on her face.
How do you know all this?
Our mutual acquaintance. I wasn't referring to the halfling, I was referring to Captain Rigger. After you and your boyfriend interrupted their business the other night, he and Sylphina were able to reach a new agreement. He may have convinced our organisation into cutting him a share, but he can deliver good on his promises. I'll give him that at least.
Convinced? He was blackmailing you. How can you be working for someone who's coercing you like this?
Working with him, not for him. I'll admit it's not an ideal relationship, but his information has proven useful to us so far. We'll deal with that imbalance later. I would be more concerned with what this means for you.
Please, you don't have to do this. You don't know what they do there.
Oh, I know. It will be a slow, agonizing death, left to starve, beaten within an inch of your life, and tortured and paraded to be made an example of. I've heard the stories of the Royal Guard in the capital and the horrors they inflict. Unfortunately for you, it's not my concern. I do wonder, though, what will they do with the thief that made them look like a band of drunk, disorganized fools once they get their hands on her?
No, you can't. Help, please, help!
Strings' shouts turned to muffled sobs as Alban reached forward with a rag clenched in his fist. She tried desperately to pull away, but couldn't stop him tying it tightly around her mouth, silencing her cries for help. The thief desperately strained against her bindings, finding no slack in the ropes that held her. The smugglers began to laugh as they watched her futile struggles, the glee in their expressions evident as they thought of the riches that they would get for their prisoner. Despite her attempts, Strings couldn't find freedom for any part of her body, leaving her to wonder if she had any chance of escaping her grim fate.